Well, as you can see, we're involved in some big doings here in our blueberry patch. And the reason for that is because a couple of years ago, the blueberries on this half of our 20-foot row died on us. And primarily it's because of just improper preparation of the bed. So that's what we're doing. We actually are revamping the bed on this end so we can plant some new blueberries. Now, the first thing that we did was actually dig out some of the soil that was in this bed. And that's what you see in some of the bigger buckets back here to the back. And the reason for that is because we're adding volumes of other materials, and we want the bed to be raised up, but we didn't want to get it too big, so we actually dug some of the soil out. Now, the first actual ingredient that I put in here was some peat moss, and that's what you see under this layer here. And we actually spent most of yesterday soaking the bag of peat moss down to get it in this form, because remember, it's in a compressed bell, it's very compacted, and you want it moist and very fibrous and ready to mix in with your beds. Now, as a reminder, blueberries prefer full sun, and they like moist feet, wet feet. They're very fibrous roots, but they need very, very good drainage. If they're in a low spot, it will kill them quicker than anything. So that's why we're putting a lot of organic matter to hold the moisture, but also allow it to drain at the same time by raising the bed up. The other thing that blueberries like are acidic soil, and your pH needs to be anywhere from 4.0 to 5.0. That's very acidic again. And there's several ways that we're getting that acidity to be very low in this bed. First of all, the peat moss will help lower the pH a little bit and make it more acidic. And the other thing is that we're adding here is just shredded up pecan hulls. And these are from a local company here in town that crushes or cracks pecans, and these are the remains of the shells. And pecan hulls are a good organic matter that will add a little bit of acidity again, and they'll help actually allow the drainage too, because of how fibrous they are, and coarseness will help in the drainage. Now, you don't have to add pecan hulls, but it's just another source that we were able to get by just cleaning up their supply area there, because it's a waste product for that particular company. Now, one thing that I need to bring to your attention is really this kind of intensive bed preparation would have been better if we'd have done it at the end of last summer or going through the winter time. And the reason for that, to get the pH more acidic, which most of our soils in Oklahoma are more alkaline, it takes a while to do that. And we're going to go ahead and add on some products here. This is one that's actually made up of sulfur, iron, and a little bit of nitrogen. And this product then we're putting on about a pound in our 36 square foot area. And this sulfur again will help lower the pH. But the problem is it's not going to do that just overnight. It's going to take several weeks up to even months before that will ever lower the pH. So really, in an area like this where you're amending it, you need to do it in advance where you can take a test and then know what your final outcome is. So once we get everything mixed in, we're going to do a soil test, and that'll take a while for the results to come back, but then again it's going to be months before it ever really drops down. So it's an ongoing process, but we're going to go ahead and do it early spring, and if we'll keep the bed moist, we should be in good shape. Now, you can also use products like this, soil sulfur, according to directions. That's a good one to use to help bring the pH down. And then once you get the plants in, like the ones on this half, it's a constant battle trying to keep the pH low. So we'll still add ammonium sulfate as a side dressing and sulfur around the top and products to help lower that pH. But still, occasionally we'll see the foliage will be chlorotic and yellow, and that's telling us the pH is still not low enough. So you can use like liquid iron products, things like this that you spray on the foliage, and that'll be a quick pickup, but you still need to correct the problem in the soil. That foliage application is only short term. So with all this organic matter, we're really going to try to do our best to get the optimum bed. Now, as you can imagine, it might cost quite a bit to purchase some of these products this much, but there are other alternatives with organic matter. But another one that's just coming out on the market that we're real impressed with is Humalpha. And it's actually manure and alfalfa mix, and it's going to have a little bit of iron in it and some slow release fertilizer too. And so the Humalpha product is a good product not only to mix in the bed but to use as a mulch. So we're going to also put some of that on. And suggestions are usually to put about a couple of inches on. And I just want you to see the product, what it looks like. It's really a great organic product. But before I finish all that up, I'm going to go ahead and till it in, because if I get too much in there, it makes it a little bit harder to mix up. And I'll be back here in just a few minutes to plant some of the blueberries, and we'll talk about some of the cultivars. Well, we have all of our soil amendments raked in now and tilled in. Plus, remember, we put in our sulfur, and also if you need to add phosphorus or potassium, this would be the stage to do it in. And I tell you, these blueberries should be very happy growing in this. I mean, this is absolutely wonderful, loose, organic soil that I think will do real nicely for our blueberries. Now, we only have a couple to plant today. One of them still hasn't come in, and the blueberries, like a lot of the small fruit or the fruit trees, come in bare roots. So we've had them, again, hilled in a bucket of sand until time to plant, and then we've soaked them in water for just a few hours during the preparation of our bed here. So we'll just plant them right in the center. Now, usually, depending on the type of blueberry plant you grow, you can put them anywhere from 3 to 6 feet apart, but we're getting ours about 3 feet apart. That way we can kind of grow them in a hedge format. And we look again at where they were grown before. You can see how fibrous the root system is and how shallow it is, and that's why they need this loose, well-drained soil. And then we'll kind of tap it down a little bit to hold them in. And because of the raised bed here, if we don't make just a little bit of an indentation to collect some water initially, it will all run off the surface. So we do that to start out with. And let me tell you a little bit about some of the blueberry types that you can grow in Oklahoma. There are 3 main categories of blueberries. High bush blueberries are what we're planting here. And those would be some cultivars like Berkeley, Blue Crop, Blue Ray Collins, Early Blue, Spartan, and Jersey, just to name a few. And this particular one is Early Blue. Now, with high bush varieties, they can grow up to 23 feet in height, but obviously with our compacted soils and some of our conditions in Oklahoma, it's usually not practical to see them growing that tall. They require about 800 chilling hours, so they really do better in northern Oklahoma, and they'll ripen anywhere from May to July depending on the cultivar that you purchase. We ordered these again from Stark Brothers because we had some specific varieties that we want, but there's a good selection in garden centers across the state. Now, another type of blueberry that's pretty common in Oklahoma too is rabbit eye. It requires lower chilling hours though, and so really it's better for the southernmost part of Oklahoma, anywhere from 150 to 600 chilling hours. And you'll see a lot of those around the southern states too, as well as the southern high bush types. And those are going to kind of be in between the rabbit eye and the high bush. And so some of the southern high bush, you'll hear cultivars of Gulf Coast, Flora Blue, Sharp Blue, and Avon Blue. And again, those actually even do better around the Gulf Coast states. You can grow any of them in Oklahoma, but you kind of want to select depending on which part of the state you're in. And of course, we have a fact sheet at the Extension office on the Homefront Planting Guide that will help out. Now, we've got a little bit of tip damage here that I want you to see. And that's not anything to be alarmed about, not a disease. What it is, it's either winter kill or just from shipping them to us. So you go in and you cut those tips off right above the leaf axes, and there's a bud on that one you can see. So we'll prune those off, get them in nice shape, ready to go. Of course, again, it's very important to water them in after you get them planted. Now you can see at the end of the row here, we have the adapter where we'll run a drip irrigation across the center of the bed, and we'll put emitters right at the location of the plant, because again, especially during the summertime, Those beds need to be kept moist, but not soggy wet. And then the final touch-up will be to put some mulch on the bed. And this is pine straw. Again, we don't use it around our pine trees, but it works as a great mulch for these types of plants because it is somewhat acidic in nature, but gosh, it packs down nicely to keep the bed from washing away. It's going to settle anyway, but it'll hold in moisture, keep the temperature moderated, and it makes a nice mulch that doesn't blow away. So if you're going to be putting in blueberries, remember bed preparation is a key to the success, and I encourage you to do it months in advance because we'll have to monitor with a soil test now, our pH, to see if we're getting it in the right range. So it takes a little bit of time in preparation, but there's plenty of choices, and it's a good small fruit crop to try in the state of Oklahoma.